Welcome back, everyone. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project's new report on the rot in the power sector is damning. The revelation, it will shock you, no pun intended. They revealed that how 11 trillion naira meant to provide regular electricity supply was allegedly squandered under the governments of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, and Goodluck Jonathan. The report says the total estimated financial loss in Nigeria from corruption in the electricity sector starting from the return to democracy in 1999 to date is over 11 trillion naira. And you will see just how these monies were spent on some of this past administration and how the ministers fared from 1999 to date. This represents some of these funds. 11 trillion naira represents public funds, private equity, and social investment in the power sector. It is also estimated that may reach over 20 trillion naira in the next decade, given the rate of government investment and funding in the power sector amidst dwindling fortune and recurrent revenue shortfalls. You see in there on your screen the ministers in charge of power from 1999 and how things have gone down in their time. SERAP's Executive Director, Adetokunbo Mumeni, joins us. He's been talking to us on the issue of these findings. Let's get back to the conversation now, shall we? You have talked about how you think or you say that some of the past governments or even the present government have swept these issues under the carpet. What exactly, again, have you discovered? Because we heard Mr. Falana saying that the privatization is also fraud. No, a lot of people will believe that privatization, in fact, should be the way to go.
Exactly. That was the domain that was sold to Nigerians. That unless you privatize the electricity sector, we won't have the power that we need. Eventually, it was privatized. And when you privatize a thing, you are simply saying the public machinery cannot handle it properly. And when you now say we are privatizing, we should be seeing progress. We should be seeing the upswing in power generation, transmission. You understand? But what we have seen consistently is a reverse back. And that is what we are saying. You see, when you say you sold the assets of NEPA, PHCN, to people, they must pay for it. They must invest in it.
So most of them, from what you discovered, did not pay.
They did not pay.
They got it, and we understand some of them even use it as collateral.
Exactly.
The companies they bought.
Exactly. You see,
to get funds from the banks.
And nothing. They didn't invest one kobo. And that is the problem that we see as fraudulent in it.
And you're saying, for example, the past administration of Jonathan, what did you discover in that past administration?
You see, from Obasanjo to Yar'Adua to Jonathan, it is the combination of the three governments' activity that we attribute 11 trillion naira of more or less wastage. Money spent by Nigerian taxpayers of which we never received value. That is the tragedy of it.
But isn't it looking like the Buhari government is stepping into the same era? If 11 trillion has already been spent in 16 years,
yes,
and the new government, what do you see that they have done? Have they discovered anything?
No. You see, what we are trying to do is to bring this present government to look critically at what had happened in the immediate past, so that this same government will not repeat all the errors of the past government.
Okay.
Because what we are saying is that unless this report is looked into and actual recommendations that have been made therein implemented, we will end up losing about 20 trillion naira.
As soon as you gave your report, reaction started flowing in. And one of the people that gave the reaction is Mr. Reno Omokri, a special assistant to former President Goodluck Jonathan, and a best-selling author of a book titled Fact versus Fiction, the true story of the Jonathan years. He's joined us now from the United States. He did say that the SERAP has not done his research. Mr. Omokri, what exactly do you mean by this? Are you saying that those monies have been highlighted to have been spent in that report were not truly spent? Or what exactly are you saying?
Well, that haven't done, they've intellectually lazy. Because you need to understand that Jonathan was the president that privatized Nigeria's power sector. Now, if you want to loot or if you want to steal money from a sector, you don't privatize it. Privatization means that the government, the public sector, is letting go of the reins and handing it over to the private sector. Now, you remember that on the 26th of August, 2010, President Jonathan launched a roadmap to power sector reforms. Now, this culminated in October of 2012, where the bids were opened. 30th September 2013, the companies who bought these 11 power distributing companies, they received their keys from President Jonathan. Now, it's ridiculous for this for SERAP to say that no money was paid. That is just totally ridiculous, because under the Jonathan administration, not up to 400 billion was budgeted for power, because the power sector had been privatized. As a matter of fact, it was the monies that the people who bought these distributing and generation companies, it was the money that they paid to the federal government that was used to the pensioners and the staff that they had backlog in with PHCN and companies. So this, they need to understand, Jonathan signed the Freedom of Information Act in 2010. They should take advantage of that act and then use it to get the facts from ministries, departments, and agencies. Mr.
Omokri, if I may quickly butt in here, the issue is that one of the major issues is that some of these individuals or companies who got the privatization right actually used those companies they were going to buy as collateral to get monies from the banks. And when we wonder how the government of the day did not discover that in the same system and in the same economy, that these people didn't have the actual funds. They got this money and used the same company as collateral. Are you saying that the government of Jonathan is absolutely exonerated from this report, the findings of this report?
I mean, Sheon, what you have to understand is that I deal in facts, I don't deal in speculation. You know, these companies, the private sector companies that bought the distribution and generation companies, they paid. Now, for instance, if I sell you my house, and then after you buy my house, you choose to go and take a loan with the assets in my house, I mean, that's up to you. All I just want for you is to buy my house. Now, the federal government privatized these firms. If you doubt me, you can Google it. I mean, there's actually video that you can watch. In October 2012, the bids were opened. They were given 6 months to pay. And then when there were some issues, I think the period that they were given to pay was extended.
All right.
They paid... yes.
Okay, Mr. Omokri, just because we need to round up now, Mr. Mumini, I wanted to react to these issues that has been raised because that's important. Just as we round up now, yes, sum up your thoughts and tell us exactly a reaction to what Mr. Omokri just said.
Yes, Mr. Omokri just said the job that SERAP did was intellectually lazy, but I would also appreciate that. I don't think this report was released earlier than yesterday, unless he has said he has read the report. I also say that it is intellectual laziness on the part of Mr. Omokri to be condemning a report that he has not read. You see, when you...
Just in 30 seconds now, because we need to close.
The point we are making is that when you take a step that you want to improve a system, and we are seeing that the system is getting worse, then there is a problem.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Adetokunbo Muni, for your time, and Mr. Rendo Omokri, many thanks for your thoughts on the program, and that's how far we can go. Many thanks for being part of the show, everyone. I'm Sheon Wakimbaloye. Bye for now.